All right, guys, it's lunchtime, so you know what that means. Another great episode of Lunchtime Talk with Steve. Today we have Marie Huntley back with us, as Miss Peaches, as everybody calls her. We're going to talk about all the different things that she's doing because she was doing some great work over here in the community in Broward County, and then she moved all the way across the country to Colorado, and guess what? She's doing great work over there too. So let's go ahead and get the intro going. I want you guys to go ahead and start sharing it out with your friends, your relatives, with everybody on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. All right, just share it with your favorite groups, and then we'll be back and talk to Miss Peaches, Marie Huntley, if you don't know her. All right, all right, we'll be right back with you. All right, guys. So we are back, and we're going to be here talking to Marie Huntley. And let me go ahead and get her in here so we can start chatting with her. Hey, Marie, what's going on?
Hey, hey, how are we?
Awesomely awesome. You know how it goes. So, question for you. Well, let's go ahead and introduce you to our audience first, just in case they don't know who you are. And then we're gonna be right back to chat with you a little bit more. Okay.
All righty.
So go ahead and tell my audience who Marie Huntley is.
So, if you don't know who I am, I'm Marie Huntley, but I am also known to the community back home and slowly but surely here in Colorado, Miss Peaches. And I'm a community organizer, activist. I also am an ordained minister. And I am also CEO and founder of my own nonprofit on call leadership, which is what I'm doing right now in Colorado, revamping it. And also just someone who likes to make sure that we keep folks aware of what's going on in the world and provide those resources that are be able to assist them. But I also have a YouTube channel called Peach Fuzz that I'm going to be updating really soon, and that's just me talking about truth and transparency. So if you guys love transparency and somebody being real, I'm one of those that you can tune into because I speak it just how I feel, but I make sure that the message comes across.
All right, perfect. So now let's take a look and see. I'm actually still sharing it out as we go along. Um, Now let's talk about some of the things that you were doing here in Broward County because you were doing so much here, and then you went over to Colorado. So first off, what made you go over to Colorado from Broward County?
In full transparency, I moved to Colorado because I knew there was something bigger and greater that I could be doing on a different platform, a bigger level. And
Hmm.
as with anyone who does the community work, you're not stabilized in just one place. There's always opportunity to grow and learn more as you travel in life. So I moved over here with my ex fiance and started a new life over here because I felt that there was a need to hear my voice over on this side as well. And I believe that in Colorado, we have to have full transparency and full commitment to the things that we do when it comes to community organizing. You can learn new things from people. You can learn how to do things differently, say different things, but there's always opportunity for restorative justice, where you can always raise your voice about your story to let people actually know that these Black stories are real, and they come from a place where people actually, went through and kind of mentally um, kind of shut down. And now we see what's going on in this world today. So I can't help but to step out and be that voice, as I was called to be, to connect and to be positioned somewhere where I can shine a little light on some of the stuff that's going on as well, or just give my opinion.
And how do you find that it's being received over on that side in Colorado? Because I mean, it's a different demographic where you are than here in Broward County, correct?
It is. And I feel as though I'm being received well. There's folks out here who genuinely want to change their mindsets, who want to know, who want to be a part of something that they were
Mhm.
never a part of, who want to change their outlook on different situations as it pertains to Black and white. Because whether we want to believe it or not, in the United States of America, there's a Black and white situation. There is.
Yes,
It's
definitely.
called all this the systematic racism, racial injustice, inequality for those people of color. It's an issue, and we need to talk about it. But we also need to make sure that when we're talking about it, me personally, and this comes from in my heart, we're not placing blame just on those who are white. We're not just
Right.
placing the blame on them. We all have to be accountable for everything we learn, everything we know, everything we teach. So we have to make sure that we are the first partakers of wanting to change how we see things. Because if we're not changing as people, we're not changing our mindset, then nothing's
Exactly.
evolving. And when nothing's ever changing, evolving or change, there can be no recreating of something. Everything just stays the same when we're always stuck in the past, and we're stuck on the one notation that this is what happened and they just wrong. So as we tell these stories, as we march out in the Black Lives Matter movement, we need to make sure, as I would say, that we're not placing everybody in the same blame. We're not placing the blame just on one particular race, but we're being accountable for ourselves as well.
Okay, so now when you say that, give me an example. And I know I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I just want so we can connect with the audience. Give me an example of what you're talking about when you say we can't place the blame on the oppressors all the time.
Well, because in our own right, we have to understand that there's a lot that's going on. We understand that as Black folks, some things are happening, and we could say that it's because we have been oppressed for so long. But when do we start finding our own way out? When do we start to moving out in our own conscious mindset, saying that you know what happened is still happening in today's world? But
Right.
but because of a lot of the privilege, white folks don't even acknowledge any of this stuff. They just move on and they just live life. They go on about their business. But we are addressing all the systematic racism. We're addressing all this stuff because it is oppressing to Black folks. But when it comes to stuff like Black on Black crimes, if this Black person killed this Black person, you can't really go to Wisconsin and blame it on that police officer, can you? Because you
Exactly.
know we have to make sure that we check ourselves first at the door. We doing all this
Mm.
marching, we doing all this Black Lives Matter, and you got Black folks still going into malls killing folks they own. You know what I'm saying? We marching for them, and these are our children. We marching for y'all, and y'all ain't getting the picture. Y'all don't see that. All this work is because of the future that y'all need to have. All this work is because we need y'all to understand that our ancestors went through it, and then from generation to generation, we still saw the systematic racism and all that kept blocking us and kept telling us that we're beneath and we're below. So now that we're marching out and we're raising our voices as Black folks all over this United States of America, we need all Black folks to be a part of that. We need y'all to drop what you're doing. Stop, change the mindset. Love your brother like you're supposed to. When we come together as Black folks, then the Black Lives Matter movement will make much more sense.
So, and this is something that I've spoken to a few different people about, and even spoke about on the show before. But it seems like whenever I speak about it, people always say, "Oh, well, it's a distraction," and then it makes it. But my thing is, and this is my thought, my whole thought behind this is, Black Lives Matter, but it matters all the time, not just when it's a white police officer that kills a Black man. Black Lives Matter all the time, because that person in Liberty City or in South Central or whatever, or South Chicago, any of them places that a Black person killed their kid, they want to see the same justice. So we have to come together. And first off, we got to stop with that don't snitch foolishness. Because, I mean, seriously, if somebody killed your relative, you're going to want to know who killed them. You're not going to say, "Oh, well, don't snitch." No, you're going to say, "I know you saw something. Tell me who did it." And that's one of the things that's my thought behind the don't snitch. I think that's keeping us down. That's keeping us in the same cycle, because if the same person is and that's, I mean, I'm just gonna use South Chicago. If the same guy is out there killing people, whether he kill 3-4 people, whatever, he's a serial killer. You want to get him off your street. Don't snitch is not going to help you. If he killed 1, 2, or 3, there's going to be a fourth, and that fourth could be a relative. So I always tell people, hey, that don't snitch don't work for me. But but definitely I agree with you with what you're saying. We have to change the mindset, and I believe that like I said on previous shows too, we have to realize that for us, freedom is still new, but we cannot just keep going on about the past and not trying to change the future. But we know where we came from. Now, do we know where we want to go? So, so now you're over in the different side of the country. You're over where it's a whole different demographic, and you're over where it's a whole different people. What are we gonna? What is your plan over there as far as even the Black people over there? Because you have Black people that still aren't woke, as they would say. So what is their plan for those people that need to get their wake up call?
To get the word out as much as I can, to design a restorative justice structure that will allow from one community to the next to sit and have these conversations. Why are you so mad? Why are you so angry? Do you even know what your ancestors have done? Do you even know what how racism started, or how this is affecting those who are of color? Do you even want to know the stories? Because it's okay to sit and learn that, where you come from, you never had to deal with. Because a lot of people have never had to deal with this. Even some Black people, they've never dealt with an injustice because they were blind and hid from it. But my thing is to open your eyes. You can stay hidden all you want, but this is what's happening. And when you have those questions about why are people doing this to one another, and why are police killing Black folks, and why do white people not like Black folks, or why do they not want to acknowledge? It's because they want to stay blind to the fact that this is happening. You can't. It's like the United States is an open door, like you can see, you can open the door and you can literally just see all of this. But to not acknowledge it is not okay. To sit and think that this is okay, and just because it's not coming nigh your dwelling, you'll be okay. But you really won't be okay, because things are changing as we go into the new years to come, as we go into the new, what we want to call evolution and change in this world. Things are changing, and everybody is affected. White, Black, Hispanic, Asian, everybody is affected by it. So that's my take on it, is to tell those stories, to get out and raise my voice about this as much as I can, but to bring love with it. Because I don't have to hate you. to give you my synopsis on what's going on or to tell you my story. I can do it all in love. It's up to you to want to,
And
you know,
and
be a part
that's
of it.
that's something else too that I think people don't get the point of. Just because we say that racism is wrong, or we might say something, or that, we're not attacking a particular person or a particular race of people. We're not saying just because we say what this one police officer did was wrong doesn't mean that we hate all cops. Just because we say that it was a white cop doesn't mean we hate all white people. And that's the thing I think people don't get. I think a lot of times people just get defensive and they're like, oh well, Black Lives Matter means you hate white people. No, it doesn't. It just means that our lives matter just as much as your life does. you know and so I think that that's one of the things we have to look at. And if any of you guys want to join the conversation, you can call in on the number that you see on your screen, 954-933-talk, which is 954-933-8255. Alexis was saying good morning to both of us. As a matter of fact, Alexis Williams, what's going on, Alexis?
Hi,
I haven't seen
Alexis.
her. I haven't seen her in a long time. Serena was saying good morning.
Good
So
morning, First Lady.
we got a lot of people that are watching, and I think that one of the things that we have to really look at is we have to be open minded. And when I say that, we have to understand where the other person's coming from. They need to understand where we're coming from because we've been oppressed for so many years. Yes, we can sit at the lunch counter with you. Yes, we can go to your restaurants and sit in the restaurant, but that's just one step. You still have places where we can't live because once we go to fill out that application, the excuses come out. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't make enough. Yeah, but the other guy over there doesn't make as much money as I do. Oh, you haven't been at your job long enough. He hasn't been at his job as long as I have. So
Mhm.
we still have to realize that these things are still happening today. Um, you know.
And we
So
have
I
to and we have to raise our voices. We can't sit
yes,
back and just be quiet about it. We can't be afraid to tell our stories of where we come from. I know we have we have many testimonies of what God has brought us through, and some of those
yes,
testimonies are those that where we come from with our blackness and how we've been treated unfairly in this particular in this country here. So you once we are all on the same accord and telling those stories, no one ever is going to be all right. No one's ever going to have all the answers. No one's ever going to be able to dissect every part of it. But your opinion does matter. Your voice still
yes,
matters. You can tune in and chime in on a conversation with how you feel anytime you get ready because there's no judgment. The problem is we feel like anytime we say something, we feel like anytime we and it's sad, and I'm going to be very transparent here. It comes from my own people, own black people. When I
hmm,
open my mouth and I started talking facts, you can face the facts. Truth is, we need to change our mindset towards one another. You can't go out there talking about some Black Lives Matter and you don't even care about your brother. You don't even care about your
exactly.
sister. You can't go out there saying that. See, now I'm switching over and I'm shifting to love because I'm a minister. And the most powerful verse in the Bible to me is John 3:16, that God so loved the
The
world,
world.
the world. He didn't
Yep.
say the black people, the white
Hmm.
people, the Asians, the Indians. He said the world. That
Hmm.
he gave his only son he gave to the world so that he could walk among us as a human being and redeem us back. Love
Hmm.
was the greatest thing that God had to give to us. And right now, there's a lot of hate in this world, but I'm a firm believer that love covers a multitude of sins. So I can love a white man past his faults. I can love a white man that calls me a black woman and gives me hate responses. I can still love you because you don't know. You have not come to a place in your mindset, in your life, where you understand that my story is my blackness and what I've gone through. If you haven't gone through that, it's going to be hard for you to follow me. The only thing you'll be able to do right now, what other white folks are doing with Black Lives Matter, is give us empathy. but my pain surpasses that empathy. My pain surpasses and supersedes all that storytelling that I can give you if your mind has not come into grasp of what I'm saying. If you still feel the same way, oh well, oh well. It's not an oh well, it's I've been through this. I've gone through this. And to still love people past that, that's powerful.
So let me ask you. So when you speak at events, or when you know any event that you go to, what do you see the mixture of the crowd being? Is it
Well,
mostly black people, white people? What do you see that mixture being in the crowd?
well, right here it is. It's mostly whites, and then you have a Hispanic population that's big here too. But
Hmm.
the blacks are very few. Like in the valley where I live, it's maybe 110 blacks,
Wow.
and you only see maybe 5 of them at these rallies. They don't normally come out. They don't normally. They're I don't know if they're afraid to tell their story, or I don't know if they're afraid to be a part of it, or if they're afraid to come out to it, or if they just don't care. And right now we
Mhm.
do have a lot of black folks that just don't care. That's why they don't get involved.
Well, do you start to see some, like, or you hear from people where they say, oh, well, it's not going to change. We've been through this before. We've been down this road before. So many have died before. I mean, do you hear those kind of things from people, or are you
I,
not hearing that from them in the community?
Not here. Here, after speaking to so at so many rallies, I get the handshakes. I get the thank you for being here. I would like to connect to you because I would like to learn more. Sometimes I get the little hate responses that says, go wake up people back home in South Florida. Why you here? If you care so much about black males, then why not go to South Central or Louisiana or somewhere where they're being killed at? I mean, I get all that. And
Mm,
it doesn't bother me because being a community activist and somebody that's in the community raising your voice, you're going to have thick skin. You're going to have to understand that opposition going to come at you real hard. And if you can't
indeed,
take that,
indeed.
then community activism is not for you. Because
Hmm.
if people could shut your mouth up after the first time you speak, then this was never for you in the first place. Me personally, I keep going because it's not about me. It's about trying to transform the influence the transformation of the mindset
Right.
by giving the story. And I can be all off Black Lives Matter. I can tell white people don't understand this and this and that. I can go there. But because of who I am and where God has me, it's my message is always going to be about love, awareness, education. It's not going to be about blaming a white man for my situation today. It's not going to be about blaming a white woman for what I'm going through today. But if she hears my story, she'll understand why I feel the way I feel. She'll understand why she needs to change her mindset to this whole racism system. She'll understand why it's important to be involved. Why it's important to not judge those that don't look like you because they're not in the same class. They don't make the same money. You know, they'll understand that more if you bring it to them in love. But when you fighting with folks all the time and y'all at a rally and y'all going at each other, ain't nobody hearing the other person. So it's a waste of
Exactly.
time, and I'm not gonna waste my time doing that.
So when you're at a rally, give me an example of some of the things you talk about, or that you speak about, that makes a difference, makes a change, that really makes people look at each other or look at themselves. What are some of the things that you say?
I'm a black woman. You're a white woman. You're a white man. Okay, we all live in this world together. I love you. You don't have to love me, but why do you not love me? You don't know me not to love me. You only know that I'm the color of a skin which you grew up hating because it's the way you were raised, the way you grew up. The nobody ever told you that not that hating another color was wrong. They couldn't have told you that because if that's what your mindset is today, then I'm telling you you're wrong. I'm not gonna move over and sit in the back of a bus because a white person come get on the bus. I'm sure you're not gonna move over and sit and go sit in the back of the bus because a black person sitting in the front. So I'm just saying what I say at these rallies is
Hmm.
first of all, a lot of them like to call themselves Christians. Okay, I'm fine, you Christian. Okay, but if you're a Christian, then God is love. God not hate.
Mm,
He created
yes,
good and evil, but he not hate.
he's
He's
not
love.
hate exactly.
So I'm not.
Hmm.
So I'm not going. And I was pointing to him. I'm not gonna hate you. I'm not gonna hate you. I'm not gonna hate you because you white. You're a person. You're a person that I should be respecting, just like you should be respecting me. What makes you so much better than me because you make more money than me? What makes you so much better than me because you live in a better house than me? Nothing. It don't make
Hmm.
you better than me. It just makes you a white person living your life and me a black person living mine. Who are you to tell me that I need to leave somewhere or I need to go back to Africa or somewhere? Because truth be told, we all descended from Africa. If I go back, I'm gonna get a ticket for you too, because you need to be sitting in the seat next to me, because you need to go back too. I'm just saying. Don't tell me to go back because you need to go back too. Come on and
See,
join me. This is what I say. And it's
see,
all
this is
out of love. It's just
to people who don't know. This is the Marie we all love. All right, I'm telling you.
I'm
I'll tell you. This lady can. This lady, she's something. And the thing about it is, she's genuine. What you see is what you get, and that's what we love about Marie. She's just, I'm telling you, Miss Peaches, I would love to be at one of your rallies. I would love to be there to hear you speak. Because I think that God has a plan for everybody, and yes, you were here in Broward County. Maybe this is where you needed to get your seasoning or whatever. I don't know, but his plan for you is to be over there to make a change, to make a difference. And I'm telling you, God has a plan for everyone, and we can see it. I mean, from the first time I met you, I knew there was something about you. I'm telling you, you
yeah.
just have that thing about you that people that know you just know, and it's like they don't know what they got over there in Colorado right now, but they'll learn. What was his name? Kevin Hart. They're gonna learn today.
Like one of my favorite comedians too.
I know, right?
But it's just so that
Man.
people won't stay on the same mindset. Sometimes when we're talking about these issues, we stay one-sided. We again, we know the issues, but what are we going to
Mhm.
do to work out these issues? And what I'm seeing right now, and I don't care who disagrees with it. What I'm saying right now is black folk, we're not on the same page. We're not on the same
It's
page.
true. It's true. It's true. We're not.
We can't
You
even
know
we,
what?
we can't even stand each other right now. Let alone want to work and help each other, pull each other up for something. We
And
gotta
you
do
know what? And
we
that's
gotta do
something
that
that we got to
first.
really start looking at. We have so much strife within the black community. I mean, we could take it from, this one from the United States doesn't like the one from Africa, and then the one and then you bring it a little bit into the circle where the one from New York doesn't like the one from Florida. Bring it a little bit further in where you have the one from Northern Florida doesn't like the one from South Florida, and then you bring it where you got Miami doesn't like Broward County. Bring it in a little bit more where you got Hollywood doesn't like Pompano. It's like no matter what, we find a reason to not like our brother, and that's the crazy part. But then we want other people to love us when we're finding reasons to hate the guy just because of the era he's from. I mean, it's like it's so crazy that we can hate each other for nothing, but we want the world to love us just because.
And we're going through this with racism now. We don't need it
Mm.
in our. We don't need to be racist against ourselves. We already seeing that we're being judged by the way we look, by the class that we're in, by the content of our character. We already being judged by that. So
Mhm.
as a black community, we don't need to be doing it to one another. Well, nobody should have to be subjected to thinking that they're below anybody, and that includes in our black community. Because I keep telling people, and they can say what they want to say. I'm not beneath nobody.
Nope.
I'm not
I
beneath nobody. White, black, Asian, Hispanic. I'm not beneath nobody. We all walk this earth. We all gonna die one day. We all gonna die one day. Black,
Yep.
it ain't gonna be black people dying, white folks too.
Everybody's gonna die.
All gonna die one day and leave this world.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that we want to leave behind? Do we want to leave behind a legacy of change? That we all got it and we got on one accord and we started to moving and pushing and plowing these fields like we're supposed to, so that equity and equality will live in all cultures? Is that where we want the legacy we want to leave? Where we all functioning in one mindset, understanding that yeah, we look different, we are different, but we're here to help one another. How do we make this possible if the very people that we're quote unquote fighting are not the ones that's really tearing us down right now? Not in 2020. It's really us tearing ourselves down.
Mm-hmm.
The mindset is incarcerated. You can't possibly think 20 years ago the same way today. It doesn't match. You haven't evolved. You haven't changed. And you don't want to change. So when you get out there and you start to doing Black Lives Matter, do we even understand what that means? The perspective, how powerful that is? My perspective is always going to be about love. And yes, I'm going to say this, where I know a lot of folks going to be mad too. All lives do matter.
They all do.
The Bible says that. Not man's law, because God says that all lives matter. All lives. No one should have to be subjected to fear or to judgment cast upon them because of their class or who they are or what they've done. You know, we got to remember as Black souls, we still being judged by a system. The minute you get out of the daggone system and you have been rehabilitated, they still look at you as though you still that same criminal. You get that enough.
Even if you've never been in the system, they always. I was just watching a video the other day, yesterday actually, on Facebook, where the police officer pulls over this. I think he was an 18, 19-year-old young man, and you know his mom was out there videotaping. So one of the things is the first thing that the police officer asked is, "Are you on probation or parole?" And he said no. And they're like, "Are you sure?" And he was like, "No." And the mom got really upset because the mom was like, he would know if he's on probation or parole. He's never had a run-in with the law or anything. But the thing is, what really upset the mom and upsets a lot of us is the first thing they thought is, young Black man, he must have been arrested. He must have been on probation or parole. Whereas they wouldn't ask the same to a young white guy or anything like that. But going back to what you were saying about all lives matter. Yes, all lives do matter. And again, I know people are going to get upset with me and you for saying that, but all lives matter. Right now, yes, we're the ones that's being killed, but all lives matter. When we start to feel like one life doesn't matter as much as another, that's where we start to have that divide that we don't want. That's where we start to have that I'm better than you kind of thing, because now it feels like, or makes you, or even me feeling like you think you're better than me kind of thing, because now it's all lives don't matter. Only one does and the other one doesn't. No, all of them matter. The same way that we asked for equal pay for women in the beginning of President Obama's presidency, and he signed that the law where women get paid the same as men. Well, hold on, but wait a second. I want to make sure that Black men get paid the same as the white man that's sitting next to them too. Why wasn't that included in the law? So you see what I'm saying? We can always find a divide in everything, no matter what. Right. No matter what, there's going to be that divide. But I really feel like we have to get to the point where we start to talk about things, and we can feel free talking. If that white person is my friend, I should be able to talk to them. And I'm not going to say they're going to 100% understand what I'm saying, but I should feel comfortable talking to them, and they should feel comfortable listening to me. But when they start, I don't want to talk about that. I don't see color. As soon as people say they don't see color, I'm like, you know what? You don't want to admit you see color. Everybody sees color. Everybody sees color. That's like rich people tell you, oh, money doesn't matter. Oh, really? Let your bank account go down and see. Then
give it to some of these charities then.
You know what I mean?
Need it. These grassroots these grassroots charities that mobilize to create change in these communities.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, because people would say that, oh, money's nothing. Money is just an object. And I heard this one guy say one time, if you got a problem that money can solve, then you don't have a real problem. I'm like, yeah, right. If that's the case, then people in this world wouldn't have problems because money can solve 99% of the problems. You know,
And half of it with money are miserable anyways. Don't know what to do
definitely.
with it. Don't know you're wasting it away, and can't figure out what to do, how to invest it anyway. So everybody
Hmm.
with money ain't always happy.
You know, I'm telling you, it's a crazy world out there, and from seeing these different things, seeing things from different angles, talking to different people, different walks of life, and visiting different parts of this country. I'll tell you one thing I realize is that it's like I think a lot of it is the way that we were brought up, our perception of certain things. Because I'll tell you, I was in Nashville, and I'm walking down Broadway, which is the main strip in Nashville, just like Collins Avenue is here in South Beach, and as I'm walking down, and I'm like, I'm with some coworkers at the time because the company had sent me over to Nashville, and they're like, oh, let's go to this bar, let's go to this bar, and I'm like, okay, cool. One of the bars was the Honky Tonk, and I'm like, oh my god, that don't even sound like something a black man should be walking into. But the people were so nice though. The people were so nice. People were buying drinks and everything. At first, I'm like, okay, wait a second. So they buying around the drinks and they don't even know us. Okay, do I really want to drink that drink? But it was cool. Then there was another one where they had the bull riding and all the. And I didn't have a problem at all. I went up to Lynchburg, and one of my white coworkers said, you don't want to go to Lynchburg. They don't call it Lynchburg for nothing. And I was like, oh God. So as I'm driving, the 2 hours and change up to Lynchburg, I'm seeing Confederate flags and everything. That's where they make Jack Daniels because that's my favorite whiskey, and I wanted to drink some to see where they make it. So anyhow, as I'm going up there, and I'm seeing the Confederate flags and everything. I got up there, walked around, and nothing. I'm like, people, it was so crazy. It's like, and I'm not going to tell everybody go try that. I'm not going to say it's going to work the same for everybody. But I'm just saying, for me, it was a great day. And if I had listened to other people telling me don't go, I wouldn't have gone. So what I think we need to do is I think really need to start to find the things that bring us together and the things that divide us. Like I was telling another guy the other day, I like to smoke cigars and drink whiskey. If I see guys in a cigar bar, whether they're whatever, and I've seen guys in the cigar bar with their flag with their Confederate flags on, and hey, what's up? What kind of cigar are you smoking? Really? Man, let me try one of those, and then I'll buy one from and I'll try it. But we talk over a cigar. Before you know it, we're just hanging out. Now it's not the Confederate flag guy and the black guy. I think we really need to start to celebrate the things that bring us together and not look at the things that divide us. And I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I'm gonna get off my soapbox now.
But it's true. It's true because well, one thing that you find is that we can sit here and we can go into all these riots, and
Mhm.
we can not just go into these riots, but we can go into a war where whites getting killed, blacks getting killed. But what's that going to
Mhm.
do? All that's doing is just wiping people off the face of the earth. But it's not. Nothing's ever getting done. Nothing's. We're not. We're not making creating a way to change. The way evolution is going to go. We're not.
Mhm.
We're not. We're not being proactive in trying to create that change that because as long as we even as black folks, as long as we are out there marching and saying that Black Lives Matter, that's a great thing because our kids need to see this. Our kids need to be a
Mhm.
part of that. But our kids also need to know the history of why this is happening and what we're doing. People,
Exactly.
people right now, including us, we're still learning a whole lot of history we didn't know. We're still learning a whole lot of things we didn't know. So guess what? For the generations of white folks coming, they now got to learn too that they had racist ancestors, masters, slave owners in their families and stuff like that. Does it mean that it sits well with them? Some of them are ashamed to even talk about it because they know that it was wrong. They just don't want to open their mouths and say it. So
I mean, let's think about it. We got to be realistic about it. If somebody came along and say, "Oh, Marie, I knew your granddad. Yeah, he's the one who killed 20 people out in," you're going to be like, "No, not grandpa. No, 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 no. My grandpa was loving. He was kind. He's the one who used to bring us candy all the time." But so that's the same thing. We're coming along telling them that. And the crazy part is, again, like I was saying, on the previous show, there was this lady the other day that I saw on the news that was 105 years old. When we think about it, her parents were born into slavery. So it's like your mind is blown that there's a person alive today whose parents were slaves. Like, boom, how does that happen?
yeah.
And people always say, but slavery was so long ago. But there's a person today whose parents were slaves. And not just one, there's probably more than one, because I mean, if a person is in their 90s and their parents were, at whatever age, I mean, it's quite possible. If not their parents, then their grandparents. So slavery is not that far removed.
We've got modern slavery today, and we have to face it. Yeah. As Blacks, we're always going to be trying to pull ourselves out of ditches, out of the hole, to sit on top, like where we're supposed to be in the first place. He that was last shall be first. He that was first shall be last. But how do we do that? How do we come to that? How do we let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus? How do we do that today in knowing that he said it, ye that was last shall be first, and ye that was first shall be last. We know what that's saying. We know that right now the minority is the majority and the majority is the minority. Mm-hmm. But how do we stay there? Because right now, because we have all this, because a lot of Blacks have pulled together to get these points across, to make sure people understand that, all lives do matter. But in this point in time right now, Black lives matter.
Yes.
Black lives matter.
But one of the things too is if we look at what Ms. Holloway was saying, she said if we don't know how to manage money, it would lead us to areas that aren't good. And that's true. So that's one of the things. Okay, so like you said, the first should be last and the last should be first. But here's the thing. If we get to a point where we are the ones on top, but we don't know how to manage it, don't know how to manage the finance, don't know how to manage all these things, then we're going to be back in the same situation, and we've seen it many times before where a guy wins $10 million in the lotto and he's broke next year because he don't know how to manage the money.
This is what I'm talking about. We need to be. This is all the education and awareness that we need to be. This is what we need to be doing. We know politics. World should have never been political in the first place because man's law stepped in on top of God's law, and because they feel that God is not real, which He's yet omnipresent, they implemented man's law. So man's law, which is politicians who are nothing but humans who have been dehumanized into their own mindsets, to say that we need to separate this from this. We need to separate us from them. So if we get here, we need to keep it there. Just like Black Wall Street it could be right now. We can recreate that. But
we can recreate that in a heartbeat if we wanted to, but like you said, the mindset, we could recreate that in a heartbeat. I mean, let's look at it this way. If we wanted to, we can have malls, movie theaters, shopping centers, you name it. What we could have all these, because why? We spend so much money in these areas. And we spend enough money to keep those businesses going, no matter where you live. I don't care if you live in the Caribbean, if you live in Canada, if you live in the United States. We spend the money. We spend the majority of the money. And the thing is, it's all a mindset, which is why there are groups like so many people out there that are trying to change that mindset. There's a friend of mine that he does a mentoring program, financial mentoring program, and he always says we don't have a money problem, we have a money management problem. Because you can take
Right.
$20,000 and make it a million, and you could take a million and make it 20,000. It's all in how you manage the money, and that's really something to think about. It's like, I mean, we have to teach our children. We have to get into the point. And I mean, a lot of times we don't know. Again, we don't know. I understand that. We don't know. I get that part because I know people are going to send me messages going, well, how are people going to be able to teach their children if they don't know? Okay, you don't know, but you know where to find the information. You have libraries, you have Google, you have all these different things that you could find it. The same way you could find the information when there's whatever that you want, whatever it is. You could drive from here to Canada because you know how to find waves and Google Maps and all these other kind of things. You could find information as well. You can Google it. You could find it. And if worst come to worst, ask somebody. You
Right.
got Marie right here. You got me. You got so many other people that have so many different things. We really got to start reaching out to each other and teaching each other. Each one teach one. You know.
And we have to make sure that we're not um, jealous of our brother or our sister because they're for a
Exactly.
movement. You can't be mad with your brother and sister because they started to creating the change in their own lives where now they're not their businesses are their visions, and their visions are helping others that need the assistance or that need the support or that need the care. We can't be envious of our brothers and sisters. But here's what I'm going to say, and it's going to be hard to say it, but I'm going to say it. As
Hmm.
Black business owners, we need to make sure that our businesses are equitable for our own
Hmm.
as well. We
And you
need to
know
make
what?
sure that our businesses are equitable. You see all these
Yes.
businesses owned by white folks and Jews and all this and that, who their price ranges are in one area, in some instances one area, but there's another price range for those that may not be able to afford it. That's how they keep business. They make it equitable there because they want blacks to buy into it because they know blacks will. But when
Hmm.
it comes to our own businesses, we're not really doing the same. We need to
And
make
you
sure
know,
that those that are less fortunate, those are disadvantaged, can come in and support the business as well. That's how you keep the money rolling in.
and the thing is, one of the biggest problems that we have, and my opinion, and this is just my opinion.
All of it's
We don't
opinion.
like to hear we don't like to hear the truth. We don't like to hear the part where somebody tells us what we need to hear. We just want to hear what we want to hear. So we want to hear and I'll give you a perfect example. Um oh gosh, his name slips my mind now, but the gentleman that just got shot 7 times in the back by the police officer. Um I can't remember his name, and I really should Google it and get his name. But the one that just got shot in the back. Okay, let's be for real. The police officer was 100% wrong for shooting this man 7 times in the back. That is undisputed. He was wrong. He should not have shot him 7 times in the back. Even if he was fearing that that he was getting a weapon or whatever, one time would have been sufficient. But going all the way back to the beginning of that, or to the part where we saw the video, honestly, me personally, being a dad, if I saw that, if I knew that my kid was in the car, or in his case, kids were in the car, I'm not fighting back against the cops. I'm not gonna try to get back into that vehicle because they don't know what you're reaching for. I mean, there's so many different ways that it escalated from that. Especially when I see that many people around me. Honestly, I'm gonna comply. If you comply and they shoot you, that's one thing. But if you're giving them an excuse, and they shoot you, that's a different thing.
But the other
A
thing,
lot
the
of
other
people,
part to that, Steve, is I understand that he was going back to the car to make sure that his boys were okay, but the officer wouldn't have known that. And with officers now who are trigger happy, you can't make sudden moves like that. And
That's
it's
what I'm
bad to
saying.
say that you're not giving up your rights. But see, here's the thing with defunding the police. They don't have no type of de-escalation training, because he could have
Right.
fired a warning shot and he could have jumped and turned around and put his hands up like, hey, I'm just checking on my kids.
Right. I understand I understand that too. But my thing is, I'm not even gonna, I'm serious. Me personally, I'm not even gonna, if when I got pulled over last time I got pulled over, which was a couple years ago, and knock on wood, it doesn't happen anytime soon again. But I just sit there and I comply. Now I understand we all have rights, but my right is to go home at the end of the night, and I keep telling people that all the time, just the same way as cops. And the time to fight it is in court, not to fight on the street. And when people start, yeah, but you don't understand. Yeah, I understand. Get your ticket and go to court. Period. When people start talking about, oh, but then you look like a punk and you're this and yeah, listen, get your ticket and go to court. I'm tired of seeing black men becoming hashtags.
And
Let's
that's
stop
until they
becoming a
get into that
hashtag.
situation. You never know how you're gonna react when you get in a
So I
situation like
understand.
that. One of
I
the
understand.
scariest times for me, Steve, was when my son told me they had just got pulled. It was him, both my only two sons was in the car. Only two sons. And
Mhm.
they were both in the car with a cousin and a friend. And Broward County identified a car and the license tag.
Mhm.
And they gave them the license plate. Clearly, once I got over there, yeah, the car met the
Description.
identity in the description, but the license plate wasn't the same. So I'm asking myself, when I get over there, I jump out my truck. They got all guns on the car. I jump out the truck. All guns come on me. Get back in the car, ma'am. I'm not getting back in the car. My boys are over there. Ma'am, get back in the car. Dude, if you're going to shoot me, you better shoot me. I didn't have not one camera out. I didn't have no weapons or anything. It's just I jumped out the car trying to race to my boys. And I jumped out the car and was about to walk into a line of fire. But I don't know what came over me that night. My boys was not going to be victims to
And
somebody else's carelessness when it
but
comes
see,
to identifying. So I jumped out
but
that
here's the
car.
thing. But see, here's the thing. Because of how they handled it, they
Mm-hmm.
were able to come home that night. If they fought back, if they got up and they were like, hell nah, and started fighting, it could have gone a different way. But
Well,
because of no, I'm not saying it should have.
I agree
I'm
with
not saying
that.
I'm not
I,
saying it
I
should have,
also think I
but
had
I'm
a whole
saying it
lot to do
could
with
have.
that.
No, but this is the thing though. Here's the thing. What we have to start to realize is a difference between what should happen and what
Mhm.
could happen. All right. We can all keep going down the path of what should happen and end up being hashtags. Or we could go
Mhm.
down the path of what could happen and go to court and fight a ticket or go to court and fight whatever and then fight it later on. Because the thing is, we've had so many that try to stand their ground right there and then. And even when they don't, we still have the same problem. Even when they comply, we're still seeing some of these issues. So my thing is, and this is one of the things that I mean, people nowadays are talking about, oh, have you given your sons the talk? The talk's been around for years. It's only now that we're seeing it more on Facebook. Because when I first started driving, I remember, my dad telling me about all different kind of things too. If I have a problem with the police, let him know because he was a correction officer, but let him know and all kind of stuff. And my license plates were always registered to him, so that this way, when they run it, they're going to see he's a correction officer. But that still didn't help because my brother got pulled over by the cops. They made him lay down in the water. It was raining. They made him lay down in the water at gunpoint. My dad got pulled over before he was coming home from the jail, where he used to work right there in Broward County, and they pulled him over coming over from the jail and asked him where he's coming from and all kind of problems. And only when the supervisor came that the situation, de-escalated. But the whole thing is, we already know how the
Mhm.
situation can go. We've seen too many times of how it can go.
And before they started killing,
Hmm.
they was beating, they was taking them, putting them in the cars and taking them somewhere, beating them up, and then letting them go. I have a
Right.
brother and I have an ex-husband who were victims of police brutality even
And
before
that's
the
the thing.
shootings started.
Yeah, we have and if you go through the hood, if you go through Liberty City, South Central, anywhere at all, you go through the hood and you ask any one of these teenagers or anybody in the hood who the beat and release cop is, they could tell you who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because the beat and release cop is the one who's just gonna, and sometimes it's for no reason, just because he wants to get out his frustration. So instead of getting a punching bag or going to the gym, they're gonna come pick up somebody, put him in handcuffs, take him out onto the bridge or wherever, and beat the crap out of him, and then drop him off. And then when you go and you tell the police, oh, well, no, they're gonna say no, not Officer Johnson. You know, Officer Johnson didn't do that, and he's gonna have 5 other cops to swear he was on the other side of town. That's exactly how it happens. I had a customer one time. Doing what could I do? Because computer repair, and I had a customer, and he was paralyzed from the neck down, and he told me that that happened with him and his friend in New York. They were coming home from a job. I believe they were coming home from out on Long Island, if I'm not mistaken, and the police pulled them over. They were driving one of those panel vans, the the Econoline vans, and the guy that was with him was mouthing off at the cop, what the hell you pulled me over for, and that kind of stuff. And the cops pulled both of them out, beat them, and threw them over the side of the FDR, onto some rocks. The friend died and he got paralyzed from the neck down, and he said it's only because when someone saw the van there, and then the people went and looked over, and they called the ambulance. If he had been there a little bit longer, he probably would have died too. This is the kind of stuff that happens every day, and people don't realize it. And people say, oh, well, Steve, you're exaggerating when you say every day. It happens every day. It's just not reported every day.
Yep.
So people have to start to realize, and like I said before, if you have white friends, they should not have a problem sitting and listening to what you're saying. Now, can they identify with it? Probably not, because they're going to say, well, the person must have done something wrong for the cops to pull them over.
Mm-hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, if a cop pulls over a white person, it's because he did something wrong. We don't have that luxury. We don't have that luxury of we must have done something wrong. Sometimes, like I said, it could be just that beat and release. That cop might just be frustrated because coming towards the end of the shift and you don't understand the stuff he went through, he go pick somebody up, beat the crap out of you, and then drop you off. And if you're lucky, he'll drop you off at the hospital, which most of the times he won't, because they're going to ask too many questions.
Yep.
There's so much that happened that people don't realize.
Trust me, I have a brother and a ex-husband that can attest to that.
Yeah, it's not easy being a black man in America. I'm telling you. People always say, "Oh, I understand." No, if you're not a black man in America, you don't understand. A black woman has a heart too. Don't get me wrong. But if you're not a black man in America, you don't understand. Being a black man is like being a target.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
And that black woman has to deal with that. We have to be the ones to try to build back up our black kings. And when I called myself a black queen, a guy on the post told me, saying black queen doesn't necessarily keep them for saying from saying the things that they're saying, or it just adds to the fire and this and that. And I told him, well, it's just gonna add to the fire because you're gonna respect me as a black queen. Period.
Mhm.
That's who I am. I'm a queen, and our black males are kings, and because they have it so bad, we need to work out ways where we can continue, even as a black community, especially of men and women, but mainly of women, to be able to assist our black kings and assist them with the mental instability of their mindsets when they go through stuff like that, because sometimes it's hard to come back. Sometimes it's hard to come back from that. It takes a whole
Mhm.
lot of willpower and a whole lot of wanting to move forward, to not hold a grudge, to not hate, to not forgive somebody for their trespasses against you. And that's a whole lot of what's going on. People could look at it police brutality, but it's still a trespass against you.
Mhm. Because if it was the other way around, if the same thing that they're doing now, if I did it to someone else, I'll be arrested.
Yeah.
If I did it to them, I'd be arrested.
and you'll
But
get
when it
more
happens,
time for the crime than
oh yeah.
somebody white would, even a Hispanic. You
And
get
you know
more
what's so crazy too? When you start looking at some of the laws on the books, one of the dumbest law I've ever seen on the books, and is this resisting arrest? Okay, so wait a second. So a cop comes up and asks me my name. It's my right not to give him my name, but if I don't give him my name, now I'm resisting arrest without violence. Wait a minute. What was I being arrested for in the first place? Well, you weren't being arrested. You were just asked your name. So how am I resisting arrest when I wasn't being arrested?
because I don't have to
You know
speak
what I mean?
if I don't want to.
But the thing is, you could still be arrested for resisting arrest without violence when you weren't being arrested in the first place. So it's like, what was the underlying arrest, and you don't have one, and it's like mind blowing to see how many people are in jail for stuff like that, just
That's why
because
we
they
need to get
ask
some
you
of these
stuff like your
judges
name.
out these seats.
That's what I'm saying. Get the
Get
judges
some of these
out,
judges
state
out these
attorney.
seats that still have a racial mentality.
The state attorneys in some of these areas, get them out of there because they don't need to be in there. If they still have that Ku Klux Klan mentality, they don't need to be in that seat.
Mm-hmm.
So we really got to start looking at these things.
Yeah.
But it's time for me to be getting out of here, and I know you have another appointment you have to go to as well. Marie's always busy. How we do. Just because she's not in Broward doesn't mean she's not important. She's still important over there. And we want to get you all over the country. We want you to be speaking at rallies all over the place because you have a lot to say. You have a lot to bring to the table, and I don't want anyone to ever feel like the voice doesn't matter.
Right.
If you don't think your voice matters, then guess what? If put it this way, if you don't think it matters, then it probably doesn't because you're the one that's pushing it out there. You're pushing that energy saying it doesn't matter. You have to change that energy. And I'm talking to my viewers here. You got to change that energy to say my voice matters. And you gotta stand tall. You gotta hold your head up and you gotta make that voice matters. All right. That's the only way it's gonna change. Only way. Look at Marie. I'm telling you, see how she is? See how straightforward she is? This lady right here, she can command the attention of any room that she walks into. And I'm telling you, that's because everybody knows who Marie is. They know who Miss Peaches is. All right. So, Miss Peaches, thank you very much for being on the show. We got to do this again. I enjoy every time we talk. I really enjoy it.
And
I feel like
to all your viewers, make sure that you make sure again that you're raising your voice. You're talking about these issues. You're telling your story. Okay, it's you have the right to give your opinion anytime you feel necessary because that's what everybody is doing. Half of the stuff going on, not facts. It's not
Yep.
facts. It's just what somebody believes or it's just their opinion of something. So push your opinion on out there too. That way, we all can make some type of compelling story and come to some type of agreement. We can agree to disagree, but at least we know. So don't sit
Exactly.
back. I'm gonna say to you, stand still.
Mhm.
Plant your feet. And when you open your mouth, you will see the manifestation of the words coming out of it because people's mindsets will change.
And if you don't believe it, look at the idiot that we have in the White House right now. He says whatever he wants to say, and people believe it because he says it with conviction. I'm serious. He does this. He'll say it with conviction, and people believe it. And then tomorrow he says something else that contradicts that, and people are like, "But wait a minute." But I'm just saying, guys, definitely you got to let your voice be heard.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't speak up, then nobody's gonna know what you're thinking.
Nope.
You got to let your voice be heard. But Marie, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being on the show. And you're always welcome to be on the show. You know how it is.
I got to Steve. I appreciate it.
All right, talk to you later.
Bye-bye, guys.
So, guys, there you go. We have another great episode with Marie, Miss Peaches. All right. And I'm telling you, you guys got to realize something, that you have a very loud and very important voice. All right. And that's no matter who you are, Black, white, Hispanic, I don't care who you are. You have a voice. Now, what we have to do is go on. We have to use the voices to talk to each other. Because if we don't talk to each other, we don't know what the other person's thinking. We don't know what's going on with them, in the other person's mind. And then what ends up happening is we start to guess. Well, maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe that's what they're thinking. No, talk to each other, okay? We have to talk. If that person is your friend, they're going to sit and they're going to listen to you. Like I said, they may not understand everything you're saying because they've never been in that situation, but they'll at least listen. And you need to listen to them as well, because just because we know about some of these things don't mean everyone knows about it. So you have to have that conversation with your friend. Listen to them, talk to them, all right? Hear what they're saying. So anyhow, be that as it may, definitely go out to, reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in a long time. I want you guys to help someone, all right? Today, go out there and help a stranger. Do a random act of kindness for a stranger, because you never know when the day may come that you're going to be that stranger that needs that random act of kindness. So definitely go out there and get it done. Make sure you do something for someone today. All right, I'm tired of hearing somebody else is going to do it. No, it's your turn. You do it. Guys, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And remember, do that random act of kindness for a stranger. Peace, people. Please visit lunchtimetalkwithsteve.com if you would like to be a guest or advertise on the show. If you're interested in any of the products or services you saw on the show today, or if you would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website, lunchtimetalkwithsteve.com. Thank you.